Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is the Friday news dump, where we're going to dump all the news stories we could find before the weekend, so you don't have to worry about anything that's going on. You can have a free, blissfully unaware weekend, and mostly sleep. I think that's what I'm going to do. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news, a Planet Earth podcast where we look up our news 10 to 15 minutes before we start, and we haven't had any caffeine. So, what's in the headlines for this first Friday of the year? Today on Before Coffee, secret lab developing UK's first quantum clock, according to the Defense Ministry, and Suella Braverman is bonkers. Italy-Turkey border gaffe on LBC.
A train conductor leaves 100 passengers behind in Washington, D.C. after Christmas, and scientists have finally solved how the Mayan calendar works.
Sweden says EU migrant return hub plan could be pitched in March, and French-German FMs in Syria for talks with the de facto leader Ahmed al-Sharaa.
And Apple Siri users were going to get $20 from Apple for invading their privacy. And the movie A Complete Unknown lands a major all-time domestic chart in just 1 week.
166 million-year-old dinosaur footprints unearthed in astonishing Oxfordshire quarry find.
And this is Roger in the United States telling you that it's National Drinking Straw Day. That's right. Get your straws out and get busy. It's January 3rd, 2025 on Before Coffee.
Yes, I have heard about the Nazi collaborator list because we talked about that actually yesterday's show. So I guess you missed that news, Ivanka. But welcome to the Friday news dump, where we'll be dumping all the news we can find. So it's kind of actually a little snoozy today, which I think is good. You should probably be happy that a lot of the news is kind of boring and doesn't mean anything, because that means nothing's going on. And that's great. Nobody's dying in explosions like they were yesterday.
Not in the United States. It's terrorists are everywhere.
Right, of course.
Everywhere. Yeah. Once again. Pretty soon,
again.
Just locking people up just for thinking things. It's coming.
Well,
we're just gonna. The thought police will be after us. You have potential to commit a crime. We're gonna.
Well, maybe they'll be using the UK's first quantum clock to decide how guilty you are. This is coming out of. On Japan Today, top secret lab in the UK. I don't know why it's top secret and why we know about it, but I guess it's not top secret anymore. In the UK is developing the country's first quantum clock to help the British military boost intelligence and reconnaissance operations. Like reading our minds to know we're going to do crime, the Defense Ministry said yesterday on Thursday. The clock is so precise that it will lose less than 1 second over billions of years, allowing scientists to measure time at an unprecedented scale, the ministry said in a statement. The trailing of this emerging groundbreaking technology could not only strengthen our operational capability, but also drive progress in the industry, bolster our science sector, and support high-skilled jobs, Minister for Defense Procurement Maria Eagle said. The groundbreaking technology by the Defense Science and Technology Laboratory will reduce reliance on GPS technology, which can be disrupted by and blocked by adversaries, the ministry added. It's not a world first, as the University of Colorado at Boulder developed a quantum clock 15 years ago with the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology, and that's how they know you're a terrorist. Colorado! They're following us. But it is the first device of the kind to be built in the UK, the statement said, adding it could be deployed by the military in the next 5 years. A quantum clock uses quantum mechanics, the physics of matter and energy at the atomic and subatomic scale, to keep time with unprecedented accuracy by measuring energy fluctuations within atoms. Accurate timekeeping is crucial for satellite navigation systems, mobile telephones, and digital TV, among other applications, and may open new frontiers in research fields such as quantum science. Companies and governments around the world are keen to cash in on the huge potential benefits quantum technology could bring. Google last month unveiled a new quantum computing chip it said could do in minutes what it would take leading supercomputers 10 septillion years to complete. That's pretty fast. The United States and China are investing heavily in quantum research, and the US administration has imposed tight restriction on exporting such sensitive technology. One expert, Olivier Ezrati, told AFP in October that private and public investment in such technology had reached $20 billion during the past 5 years. The Defense Ministry said future research would see the technology decrease to the size to allow mass manufacturing and miniaturization, unlocking a wide range of applications such as use by military vehicles and aircraft. And then we can all have quantum computers, and we can really play those video games, because that's, as we know, what computers are for, not for anything else.
They're for porn.
Oh, right, of course. The internet. That's why it was invented. In other news, we've got somebody who needs to be installed with a quantum brain, I think, because they don't know anything about geography. This is coming out of the National, Scotland, by the Suella Braverman. Might not be the Home Secretary anymore, but it hasn't stopped her hitting the headlines. It might not be for exactly the reason she was hoping, though, as her latest claim has sparked a fair bit of confusion. During an appearance on LBC, Braverman claimed she had seen the land border between Italy and Turkey. That's right. Entire area between Italy and Turkey is just a land border. There's nothing in between Italy and Turkey. Unfortunately for the Tory MP, as anyone who has ever looked at a map will know, the two countries do not share a land border. She said, Italy have reinforced their borders. They built a wall. I went to see the wall. They built a wall in the land between Italy and Turkey. What seems most likely is that Braverman meant to reference the wall and surveillance system built on the Greece-Turkey border, the famous two countries who have never gotten along ever since the Ottoman Empire fell, which would certainly make more geographical sense. Unfortunately for Braverman, the clip is already doing rounds on social media, with author Otto English writing, "She's seen it, apparently." Meanwhile, absolute scenes on LBC. Bonkers. Food critic Jay Rayner also shared the clip, asking, "And is this wall on the land border between Italy and Turkey with you in the room right now?" Another user added that it was a remarkable claim, since the countries are not neighbors, while a fourth asked if the border could be found in her imagination. Somebody else, meanwhile, simply described it as the spectacular stuff. So,
We love rolling stupid people.
and then we've got somebody, I'm sure a Scottish person, saying, "And just when I thought English nationalists couldn't get any thicker."
Don't forget Hadrian's Wall between Scotland and Greece.
Yeah, right, of course. But there's my stories for my first section here. I do speak English, thank you. I try my best. And on to your next stories.
I speak English light. All right, so we're going to talk about the Mayans, a long extinct society who left behind a bunch of calendars in Mexico. So
Yeah.
This is from popularmechanics.com, Tim Newcomb. Now, the Spaniards did not defeat the Mayans. They're long gone. That would be the Aztecs, who they defeated. The Mayans, of course, the Aztecs used the same calendar, but they never explained it to us. The Mayan calendar's 819-day cycle has confounded scholars for decades, but recent research shows how it matches up to planetary cycles over a 45-year span.
Wow.
That's a much broader view of a tricky calendar that anyone previously tried to take. It's a study published in the Journal of Ancient Mesoamerica. Two Tulane University scholars highlighted how researchers never could quite explain the 819-day count calendar until they broadened their view. Although prior research had sought to show planetary connections for the 819-day count, its four-part color-directed directional scheme is too short to fit well with the synodic periods of visible planets, the study's authors write. By increasing the calendar length to 20 periods of 819 days, a pattern emerges in which the synodic periods of all the visible planets commensurate with station points in the larger 819-day calendar. That means that Mayans took a 45-year view of planetary alignment and coded it into a calendar that has left modern scholars scratching their heads in wonder. Wow, they could have been smart back then. That's not possible. Only modern people are smart. Ooh.
Brains. We're the only ones who have brains.
That's how we think. There's a whole TV series on the History Channel called Ancient Aliens, because only aliens could have built this stuff. I'm puzzled by the fact that they think people were just sitting around watching TV 1,000 years ago or whatever. There was no TV. People had to watch the stars. They predicted the stars. They figured the shit out. We can't fathom that people were that intelligent for some reason. Anyway, on to scientists discovering how smart people actually were. While ancient Mayan culture offered various calendar types, the one that baffled scholars the most was the 819-day calendar discovered in glyphic texts. Researchers have long believed this calendar was associated with planetary movements, especially the synodic periods, when a planet appears visually to return to the same location in the sky as seen from Earth of key planets. However, each planet moves quite differently, and matching up multiple planets into an 819-day span didn't seem to make sense. But it does when you look at it over 16,380 days, which is roughly 45 years, not just 819 days. That's a total of 20,819 day timelines. Mercury was always the starting point for the tricky timeline because its synodic period, 117 days, matches nicely into 819. From there, though, we need to start extrapolating out the 819 number, and if you chart 20 cycles of 819, you can fit every key planet into the mix. And Mars may be the kicker for the overall length. With a 780-day synodic period, 21 periods match exactly to 16,380, or 20 cycles of 819. Venus needs 7 periods to match the 5 819-day counts. Saturn has 13 periods to fit with the 819 to fit with 6 819-day counts, and Jupiter has 39 periods to hit 19 819-day counts. That's right. They all sync up at some point in an 819. That's weird. Rather than limit their focus to any one planet, the authors write, the Maya astronomers who created the 819-day count envisioned it as a larger calendar system that could be used for predictions of all visible planets' synod periods, as well as commensuration points with their cycles in the Tzolk'in and calendar round. There's your story about the Mayans, and now human intelligence. And here's a story about human stupidity. Oh yes, this is from View.
We both have stories about that today.
View from the wing.com. This is a blog written by a pilot, so I know he's going to have something to say about trains. But anyway. This is from Gary Leff. The conductor thought no one was boarding. Amtrak locks out 100 passengers in D.C. after Christmas. And what may be the single most Amtrak story ever, the last Amtrak train of the day following Christmas left all of its passengers behind at Union Station in Washington, D.C. Everyone stood ready to board. No one bothered to let the 100 or so people on, so the train left. We were supposed to board at 10 p.m., got in line at 9:40, got a text saying it's time to board. At 10:15, train says it departed. All 100 of us are still waiting at the gate to open. At 11 o'clock, station manager says the train left because no one came down to board. Now, the station manager, conductor are just like, there's people here. These people have radios. It's newest invention. It's called a radio.
Did he blow his whistle? That's the important part. If you blow your whistle and nobody comes running going, no, hold the doors, then yeah, nobody's coming.
They don't have whistles here. They expect you to get on the train without anybody even telling you the train's leaving.
That's the whole problem with the American transit system. Like, if you go anywhere in Europe, There's some guy blowing a whistle. Okay, I know it's crazy, but it works. People go, oh shit, the train's leaving. Somebody blew a whistle.
Well, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like everybody's finger pointing now. The gate to the platform remained locked, and no one ever bothered unlocking it. The first Amtrak agent on the scene reported left quickly to avoid customers. Oh shit, they're pissed off customers out of here. Perversely, Amtrak told its regulator that there is no reason why the board trains this way in DC, that some stations try to improve processes and others just don't. Around 11 p.m., the station manager informed passengers that the conductor simply assumed no one was boarding. Oh, Christmas travel? People don't travel after Christmas. Absurd. I got an empty train. Bye. Anyway, well, he didn't have an empty train. He saw the passengers from the previous stops. Anyway, ultimately, passengers were rebooked on trains the following morning. Some were offered refunds and reimbursements, but not hotel accommodations for the night, although customer relations says some passengers did receive an offer of hotel. Customers were incredulous. It's another word for pissed off. The conductor was thinking no one was getting on board on a train that stops in Boston, Philly, New York City, and on the day after Christmas. Said one passenger. Meanwhile, passengers had simply assumed the daily boarding was routine because it's Amtrak and such delays are routine. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary until the train had left and was trackable en route to BWI, which is Baltimore Washington Airport. Some passengers reported being hesitant to leave the line to find help, worried they'd missed their boarding window. The ticket office was closed, and passengers reported other staff as appearing unresponsive. Before the pandemic, former Delta CEO Richard Anderson was brought on to try to fix the mess at Amtrak, but Amtrak doesn't want to be fixed, and he got bounced for his efforts. That's editorializing, of course.
Yeah.
The 2022 federal infrastructure bill committed an additional $66 billion to Amtrak, but the government train corporation's fundamental problems aren't fixable with just money. At least this wasn't as bad as the time it took 7 months for Amtrak to respond to a customer that got stuck in an elevator. All right, and they're showing a social media post from a woman named Amanda Carpenter from February of 2016, and she's saying, "Guys, I'm trapped in an Amtrak elevator at the BWI airport. Help!" And promptly in September, 7 months later, Amtrak responded, "We are sorry to hear that. Are you still in the elevator?" That's a little funny. Amtrak doesn't even look at their own social media accounts. So, Amtrak, get your shit together, because I plan on taking a train. At least out here in the West Coast, they got their shit together, apparently. But East Coast Amtrak, not so much. There's your stories.
Wow. All right. Next up, we're covering some of my favorite topic, which is immigration. That's right. Sweden is coming up with some plans for return hubs for immigrants who get denied access. And unfortunately, they do use the phrase removal of illegal migrants, which nobody's illegal. We all belong to the earth. So undocumented is what I would call them. The European Union, and I think what most people call them, the European Union could submit a proposal as soon as March for the creation of a so-called return hubs to expedite the removal of undocumented immigrants. Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson said yesterday on Thursday. This is on MEM, Middle East Monitor. According to Reuters, Kristersson sketched out the potential timetable during a meeting in Vienna with Austrian Chancellor Karl Nehammer, a fellow conservative, and with which both men urged the European Union to step up to efforts to counter undocumented immigration. Growing support for hard and far-right parties across Europe has pushed immigration up the political agenda, even though it's really not a big deal. EU leaders said in October that they were considering a scheme under which migrants with no right to stay in the bloc could be sent to hubs in countries considered safe outside the EU. Kristersson said that he had discussed the schemes with the EU Commissioner for Migration, Austria's Magnus Brunner, who had assured him that a proposal would be forthcoming in the spring. That, Kristersson said, presumably meant sometime in March, according to the interpreter's translation of his remarks during a joint press conference with Nehammer. "There is some momentum right now," said the Swedish Prime Minister. Nehammer praised Kristersson for keeping immigration on the EU agenda and argued that there are now 18 countries within European Schengen free travel area, including Switzerland and Norway, whose interests are aligned on curbing migrant flows. The Austrian Chancellor said the concerned governments had managed to completely change discussion around immigration so that the countries with no external EU border, such as Austria, are now more involved in addressing the issue. "Only when we recognize the problem must be solved together do we have a chance of making progress," he added. But unfortunately, you can't stop migration or immigration at all. It's not really a thing you can do. Or I guess they're trying. I get where Austria's coming from. They are landlocked. So if somebody comes into their country, they don't really have any control over that. So, and I guess it makes them scared. Even though everyone commits crimes, not just immigrants. Okay? I mean, Austria has half guilty for the biggest crimes of humanity. So, right. Anyway, it's at least a little bit guilty. Speaking of immigrants, Syria, right? A lot of immigrants went back to Syria because of the fall of the Assad regime, and now French and German, I don't know what FM stands for, foreign ministers. Foreign ministers are visiting Syria in order to talk with the current de facto leader, Ahmed al-Sharaa. This is on The New Arab. Syria's de facto leader, Ahmed al-Sharaa, is due to meet the French and German foreign ministers today in the highest level visit by a major Western power since the ouster of former President Bashar al-Assad on the 8th of December. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot arrived in Syrian capital today, according to the latest report. German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock joined him later, a ministry source told the news agency AFP, to talks on behalf of the European Union. One of their first stops was the notorious Saidanaya prison, not far from the capital, AFP journalists said. Accompanied by white helmet rescuers, Barrot and Baerbock toured the cells and underground dungeons of Saidnaya, the epitome of atrocities committed against Assad's opponents. Saidnaya was the site of extrajudicial executions, torture, and forced disappearances. An advocacy group said more than 4,000 people were freed from the detention facility when rebel forces took Damascus on the 8th of December. Sharaa, head of the group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, led the offensive that toppled Syria's longtime ruler Bashar al-Assad in early December. The HTS-dominated interim authorities now face the daunting task of rebuilding state institutions with growing calls to ensure an inclusive transition and guarantee minority rights. Barrot, in a post on Twitter, said, "Together, France and Germany stand alongside the Syrian people in all their diversity." He added that the two European powers wanted to promote a peaceful transition. Well, the transition was pretty not peaceful, but I get where you're coming from. They did a coup, so...
Well, as coups go, it wasn't as bloody.
As far as I know, Assad wasn't killed, so...
Right.
Yeah.
He isn't hanging from the yardarm or the public square.
He's not, He added that the two European powers, in Damascus, he expressed hope for a sovereign and stable and peaceful Syria. It was also hope that aspirations of all Syrians can be realized, he added, but it is a fragile hope. In a statement, Baerbock said Germany wanted to help Syria become a safe home for all its people and a functioning state with full control over its territory. She said that this visit was a clear signal to Damascus of the possibility for a new relationship between Syria and Germany and Europe more broadly. Despite skepticism about HTS, which was formerly affiliated to Al-Qaeda and is designated a terrorist organization by numerous governments, Baerbock said that we must not miss the opportunity to support the Syrian people at this important crossroad. She also asked that the new regime to avoid acts of vengeance against groups within the population, to avoid a long delay before elections, and to avert attempts to Islamize the judicial and education systems. This must be our common objective, she said. Since Assad's ouster, a bevy of foreign envoys have traveled to Damascus to meet with the country's new leaders. France and Germany had both already sent lower-level delegations last month. At the start of the visit, Barrot met with representatives of Syria's Christian communities. Diplomatic sources say Barrot told the Christian leaders that France was committed to a pluralistic Syria with equal rights for all, including minority groups. Syria's civil war, which started in 2011, sparked by the Assad government's brutal repression of pro-democracy protests, saw Germany, France, and a host of other countries close their diplomatic missions in Damascus. The conflict killed more than 500,000 people, displaced millions, and left Syria fragmented and ravaged. The new authorities have called for lifting of sanctions imposed on Syria under Assad to allow for reconstruction. Paris is due to host an international summit on Syria later this month, following a similar meeting in December in Jordan. So all the world powers are deciding what to do, and hopefully Syria can turn a new page into a more democratic, I guess, and free-for-all
Not free
society.
For all. Wait.
Yeah, free-for-all.
Sounds like anarchy.
Well, either way, they might be turning a new page, a new chapter. Syria is one of the oldest Damascus itself is one of the oldest civilizations in history. They actually invented wine. So if you have Syria to thank for wine, nobody would be drinking wine. That's why France is friends with them.
Anciently, it was called Assyria.
Yeah.
Times. It's one of the oldest civilizations.
100%.
And of course, one of the questions.
Oh.
What's the capital of Assyria? I don't know that. Well, remember that.
But there you go.
Holy Grail. Yeah.
On to your story.
Okay. From international intrigue to snoopy little tech companies. This is from the Hacker News. Apple to pay Siri users $20 per device in settlement over accidental Siri privacy violations. Oh boy. $20. What can I do with that? Nothing, basically. Apple has agreed to pay $95 million to settle a proposed class action lawsuit that accused the iPhone maker of evading users' privacy using its voice-activated Siri assistants. This development was first reported by Reuters. The settlement applies to U.S.-based individuals, current or former owners or purchasers of Siri-enabled device who had their confidential voice communications with the assistant obtained by Apple and or were shared by third parties as a result of an unintended Siri activation between September 17th, 2014 and December 31st, 2024. So it's 10 years of snooping. Cost them $95 million. They'll probably write that off as a tax thing. That's probably the way they ended it last year, so they can get a tax break this year. Right?
Yeah, right.
Eligible individuals can submit claims for up to 5 Siri devices if you have an iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, MacBook, iMac, HomePod, iPod Touch, and Apple TV. So you can do that for 5. If you got 5 of those devices, you might get $100. Woo! On which they claim to experience an accidental Siri activation during a conversation intended to be confidential or private. Class members who submit valid claims can receive $20 per device. The lawsuit was brought against Apple following a 2019 report from The Guardian that disclosed that the third-party contractors were listening in on private conversations of its users, issuing voice commands to Siri as part of its efforts to improve the quality of its product.
Okay.
An amended complaint filed in September of 21 alleged that the private conversations recorded by Apple because of accidental activations were also disclosed to third-party advertisers. Cupertino has disputed the claims, arguing there are no facts, much less plausible facts, that tie plaintiffs' receipt of targeted ads to their speculation that Siri must have been listening to their conversation and Apple must have used Siri to facilitate targeted ads by third parties. Sounds like something they'd do. So it sounds plausible, right? Big corporations snooping on you to sell you stuff. Following the revelation, Apple apologized for not fully living up to our high ideals and subsequently induced an opt-in to help Siri improve by learning from the audio samples of their requests. It has also said it will remove any recording that's determined to be an inadvertent trigger of Siri. It has since rolled out new settings across the software portfolio to allow users to disable their collection of analytics information for improving Siri and dictation, as well as delete all history. Apple has denied any wrongdoing in the settlement filing, but we're paying anyway. Google, which has also faced accusations with its voice assistant back in 2019, is battling a similar lawsuit in the U.S. District Court. I think Google has a lot more users. You don't need a device. Google is just something you go to, right? Of course, you have Google. What is their search engine? Google. I think it's just called Google, right?
Yeah, it is.
Google, their AI assistant.
Supposedly, well, Google's real name is something else. Like their actual corporation is something else.
Of course, but that's not what you say when you talk to the machine. Okay, in other news, this is in entertainment news. The Bob Dylan movie was released on Christmas Day, and it lands on a major all-time domestic chart in just 1 week. That's right. A Complete Unknown. This is from ScreenRant.com. A Complete Unknown has landed on a major box office chart by the end of its first full week in theaters. The movie, which is directed by Walk the Line's James Mangold, follows iconic musician Bob Dylan, or Timothy Chalamet, during the early years of his career in the 1960s. The Complete Unknown release kicked off on Christmas Day 2024 with an $11.6 million debut, seeing it land at number 6 on the chart as the second best new release of the weekend behind Robert Eggers' horror movie Nosferatu. Of course, that's about a vampire, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Further numbers, A Complete Unknown has reached a Further numbers, A Complete Unknown has reached a cumulative domestic box office total of $25.68 million as of Monday, December 30th. This means it has taken the movie less than a week to land on the chart of the top 100 highest grossing movies based on a factual book or article at the domestic box office. With its total as of Monday, it has landed at number 98 on the chart, surpassing the domestic grosses of Ridley Scott's All the Money in the World and Mark Wahlberg-led inspirational dog movie Arthur the King. The Complete Unknown true story is likely what is helping drive audiences' interest in the movie, but it's also excelling even among similar movies. As it approaches its second weekend in the theaters, entirely possible that the movie will hit a total of more than $30 million by Sunday, even if it drops 60% in its second weekend. This would see it climb to number 89 in the chart by the end of the just 10 days in the theaters. Below, well,
Wow.
there's a list of movies that are currently above it on the chart.
Okay.
So you've got movies like Yours, Mine, and Ours, The Elephant Man at 96, Serpico at 95, The Hindenburg at 94. Maybe some movies we've heard of in here.
I've heard of The Elephant Man, but not...
The Reagan movie in 2024 is on here at 91. This only goes to 88. Deliver Us from Evil, A Walk in the Woods, The Insiders. Yeah, those are the ones that are ahead of it, just barely ahead of it, as it's going to leapfrog probably its next weekend. However, it remains to see how high the movie can climb in the chart. The number one title is Clint Eastwood's American Sniper, which grossed $350 million after debuting with $58 million in a weekend in 2014. Although holiday season releases tend to have slow and steady box office growth, it seems unlikely that the Bob Dylan biopic has the same kind of blockbuster appeal. However, it is the same level of growth as Walk the Line, which opened at $22 million and could eventually hit $62.2 million overall, making it number 45 on the chart, above 2016's Miracle from Heaven. One thing that will likely help the movie soar is the raft of glowing A Complete Unknown reviews, which have earned it a certified fresh 78% Rotten Tomatoes score with a verified hot 96% audience score.
That's really high.
Compared with Walk the Line's 83%, which was Johnny Cash biopic, from critics and 90% audiences. So it's scoring higher than Walk the Line, but Christmas release hurts box office, I'm sure. Strong words of mouth combined with the fact that there were few tentpole releases are due in theaters over the coming weeks could help the movie exceed expectations as it continues its domestic run. There's your stories on the movies. And back to you.
All right. In more culture news, let's talk about...
I don't have a film clip, so... All
right.
Dinosaur. Gabble it out, I guess.
Let's talk about dinosaurs. That's right. In the UK in Oxfordshire, they've discovered some dinosaur footprints unearthed. And it looks pretty, you would think, oh, this is just like some puddles, but they're too specifically like separated to be puddles, right? It looks like a trail from a dinosaur. So this is from Theo Ferrant on Euronews Culture. The UK's largest dinosaur trackway has been uncovered in a quarry in Oxfordshire, revealing a fascinating glimpse into the Jurassic past. An exceptional discovery, paleontologists from the University of Oxford and Birmingham have uncovered hundreds of dinosaur footprints at Dewars Farm Quarry in Oxfordshire. The site, dating back to 166 million years to the Middle Jurassic period, reveals a dinosaur highway featuring the tracks of both herbivores and carnivore species, including the fearsome predator Megalosaurus. The excavation, completed in June 2024, uncovered 5 major trackways, with the longest stretching over 150 meters. 4 were created by sauropods, massive long-neck herbivores such as Pterosaurus, which could grow up to 18 meters long. The 5th trackway belongs to the Megalosaurus, a 9-meter-long carnivorous theropod known for its clawed, 3-toed footprint. Tracks give us that moment in time in the life of an animal. It tells us it was there, unlike a body fossil that can be moved around. It gives us the glimpse into what they were doing. We can also figure out how big they were, how fast they were moving, and how they were interacting with each other, with the environment. Professor Kirsty Edgar, a micropaleontologist from the University of Birmingham, told Euronews Culture. The footprints were first noticed by Gary Johnson, a quarry worker who alerted researchers after spotting unusual marks in the clay. Over 100 scientists, volunteers, and quarry staff collaborated in a week-long excavation to uncover the 200 footprints. Wow! Using aerial drones, 20,000 images were captured, and the research team created detailed 3D models of the site, ensuring a permanent digital record for research and public engagement. Professor Kirsty Edgar highlights 2 key reasons why the discovery is so significant. One of which is the size of the site. Most of the UK dinosaur track sites that you can go and visit today are on the coast, and they're very small. This is a quarry. It's huge. It's definitely the UK's largest dinosaur track site ever recorded, and it's one of the largest in the world. Wow, a Megalosaurus print, just nice 3-pronged in the size of my head. Just right there in the quarry, in the clay. She adds, cool. Secondly, the discovery is also significant, as 2024 marked the 20th anniversary of the scientific naming of dinosaurs. Megalosaurus, the first dinosaur ever named and described in 1824, was discovered in Oxfordshire. Finding the tracks from that very animal in the quarry, so close to where it was originally described, creates a really nice synergy during its 200-year anniversary. That's crazy. Well, you know what they say. Sometimes it's not just a coincidence. I guess the dinosaur god has revealed to us the path of the dinosaurs.
How did they miss those footprints? Yeah. That's a better question. How did they miss those footprints for 200 years? That's a better question.
Well, I think they were digging in the quarry and then they just found them. It's a quarry, right? So they...
All right.
The huge trackway find will form the centerpiece of Breaking Ground, a new exhibition at Oxford University Museum of Natural History, running until the 29th of September to 2025. So if you'd like to see those drone shots and other pictures of this cool dinosaur tracks, then head to Oxford University Museum of Natural History before September 29th. Otherwise, it's too late. You've missed it. Now, I'm sure they'll move the pictures to another museum at some point, and they'll just share them around. Very cool. And I guess on to this day in history.
This day in history. Yes, this day in history. We're going back to the year 1543. Spanish soldier and explorer Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo was the discoverer of California. That's the first Spaniard to set foot in that area. Anyway, it was San Diego, basically. He died on this day in 1543. There's a Cabrillo monument in San Diego. That's how I know his name. In 1777, the Battle of Princeton, which is in New Jersey, most people know. Some people know, anyway, was fought during the American Revolution. The clash, along with the Battle of Trenton, marked the first victory of the Revolutionary War General George Washington in the open field. So, defeating the British, finally, in a battle. 1793, American reformer Lucretia Mott, who, with Elizabeth Cady Stanton, funded the women's rights movement in the United States, was born. So, happy birthday to Lucretia Mott. In 1883, Clement Attlee, British Labour Party leader and Prime Minister, was born. 1892, English author and scholar J.R.R. Tolkien was born in South Africa. He was perhaps best known for, what? The Lord of the Rings, which he wrote in 1954 and 1955. So happy birthday to J.R.R. Tolkien, because you need 3 initials in your name. J.R.R. And 1929, Italian motion picture director Sergio Leone was born, known primarily for his popularization of the spaghetti western. And I can't do that little whistle from The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, but he made those movies, the spaghetti westerns, with English language dubbed in over, because the whole thing was not recorded in English. It was dubbed in Italian and then dubbed in English, right? Which is, it's typical of movies that dub in the audio later, but they dubbed in all the audio. In 1938, U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt established a National Foundation of Infantile Paralysis, later called the March of Dimes, to find a cure for polio, a disease that he had been stricken with in 1921. FDR died pretty young because he had polio. 1939, Canadian professional ice hockey player Bobby Hull, the Golden Jet, was born. Happy birthday to Bobby Hull. 1959, on this day, Alaska became the 49th U.S. state, and the farthest one away from me. No, it's not. Hawaii is. Hawaii is the farthest one away. 1962, on this day, Pope John the 23rd excommunicated Fidel Castro, who had transformed Cuba into a communist state. At the time, the Roman Catholic Church opposed communism. Of course, the Catholic Church excommunicating you doesn't affect you whatsoever in any way. So I'm not sure why that's even news. It's like, you can't be in our religion. Okay, I don't want to be in a religion. Whatever. 1977, Apple was incorporated by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. And what a coincidence, they're paying a huge settlement today, huh? And later, it became one of the world's most valuable companies in the world, known for innovative computer and electronic products, and, of course, Siri. And, of course, you worked for Steve Wozniak once upon a time, right? 1990, after undergoing 10 days of psychological warfare, which included U.S. forces blasting rock music at the Vatican embassy, where he had sought refuge, Panamanian military leader Manuel Noriega surrendered to the United States. Of course, Manuel Noriega, leader of Panama, was a CIA operative, and we wanted him arrested because we didn't want him spilling his guts.
Or maybe you did want him spilling his guts, but like on the pavement.
Yeah, the United States has been paying him to be the strong man for Panama for years and years and years, and we didn't want that blood on our hands. 2001, Hillary Clinton was sworn in as a U.S. Senator from New York, having become the first lady in U.S. history to win an elective office. Congratulations, Hillary. Should have been president. 2004, NASA's Mars exploration rover Spirit landed on Mars to study the chemical and physical composition of the planet's surface. And our featured event for today is 1521. Martin Luther was excommunicated by the Pope. That's right, the same day that the Pope, excommunicated Fidel Castro, the very same calendar day, January 3rd. On this day, 1521, Pope Leo X issued the papal bull Direct Decit Romanum Pontificarum, excommunicating Martin Luther, the German priest whose questioning of certain Roman Catholic practices initiated the Protestant Reformation. So if you've been excommunicated by the Pope, you're in good company. And featured biography is Father Damien, speaking of priests in Catholic Church. Father Damien, a Belgian priest, born January 3rd, 1840 in Tremello, Belgium, and died in Hawaii at April 15th, 1889, at the age of 49. So was he killed by the native Hawaiians? I don't know. He's only 49. You have to look up his history at some point. Other birthdays today, besides Sergio Leone, it's Mel Gibson's birthday, American-born Australian actor, director, and producer, born in 1956. 1969 is the birthday of Michael Schumacher, German race car driver. Danica McKellar's birthday is 1975, American actress and author, and American football player Eli Manning is turning, he was born in 1981. He is turning 44 today. So happy birthday to Eli Manning, two-time Super Bowl winner, younger brother of Peyton Manning. And what day is it today? National Days. Only two things today. It's National Drinking Straw Day and National Chocolate Covered Cherries Day. They can eat those all day. So there's your stories. Those are your days. There's your history. Everything. All the news dump we can fit into 1 hour on January 3rd, 2025 on Before Chocolate Covered Cherries.
All right. This has been Allison here from the Netherlands and Raj from the US. It is tomorrow, International World Braille Day. Yep, that's right. The writing system / reading system for the blind and visually impaired to help them also enter the world of being able to read. Because reading is actually very important. Using your mind to stream up images is actually really great for your brain. So, what is Braille? It's a tactile representation of the alphabetic and numerical system used in 6 dots to represent each letter and number, and even musical, mathematical, and scientific symbols. Braille, named after its inventor in the 19th century France, is used by blind and partially sighted people to read the same books and periodicals as those printed in a visual font. So let's raise our awareness of Braille, make everything you write Braille, and then everyone can experience your writing. There you go. World Braille Day. We will see you next week for the second week of the year as we come back from the weekend with some mucking fun day news. So don't worry about the news. We'll cover you on Monday. Anything important that ever happens, don't worry about it. So that's us. If you're not subscribed to the Allie and Raj channel, subscribe. Put on those notifications so you know when we go live. And like this video. Comment down below. I don't know. I don't know where to come. I'm always bad at doing these outros. But I hope to see you guys next week. Take care out there. And what rock music did they play? I don't know. What rock music did they play? I don't even know what that question's for.
What rock music did who play?
I don't know. During your in this day in history, I guess you were talking about rock music, or what rock music they played. It's fine. We'll see you next time. And this is, I guess we're gonna gavel out.
The chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons. And follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.